And welcome back to the Buckle Up Podcast universe with Brandon Rush
Mama Rush.
And we are here today. We have 11 million viewers and listeners still in 28 countries, and I believe there's 268 states. 268 cities around the world, and we're absolutely excited about that. As we're going to have one of my friends from college, Tyrell, on today, he's been a wrestler most of his life since college. And also is I believe, a band director, or I know or teaches music, one of the two. But we are going to have him on here today, and excited to have him. And so he'll be here momentarily. Put a little pause. Hold 1 second. Let's see here. Bring him back, and then Tyrell should be here pretty soon. So he cuts on his camera. But he is in the waiting room. Tyrell!
What's going on, my brother? How you doing?
Hey, doing great. I'm so glad we finally got you, my friend.
Man, I appreciate being on your platform.
Absolutely, Ty. Absolutely, man. Hey, I have my mom on here as well, Mama Rush.
Hi, Tyrell. How are you?
Hello, Miss Rush. How you doing?
Fine. I'm called Mama Rush on the show.
Mama Rush, I got you.
Love that deep voice. That bass baritone, your bass? Your voice, excuse me.
I'm a bass, but I can be whatever I need to be when it's time to be it. So if I got to hit a high note for you, just give me a little bit of water and I'm going to hit it.
Okay. Ty, man, you should be doing voiceover too, brother. Seriously. I mean, that's a deep voice you have there.
Well, listen, you got such an amazing reach. Maybe I'll get somebody to give me a call about that when we're done with this.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, I'm all about it because I said, man, you have so much talent. You've been one of my friends since college. But one of the things I appreciate you about you so much is you've gone after your dreams, and you continue to go after your dreams every day. And not just that, you inspire the youth too. Because I believe that you're also I know you wrestle, and then you're also, is it a band director or band teacher? What is it exactly?
No, I'm the director of bands at a local high school here in Columbia, South Carolina. Holy
smokes. Man, what's that like, Ty? If you wouldn't mind telling us, what does that position kind of involve?
It's well, I'm like every kid's parent because all the kids like to gravitate more to the arts when it comes to who they choose to open up with. They spend a lot of time with me because we go on a lot of trips. We have a lot of after school rehearsals. So I'm a coach in a lot of senses, and you play sports, how, the bond that coaches have with their players. So,
absolutely.
I'm just a coach of the arts with these kids. So spend a lot of time with them. A lot of them really open up to me and ask me about, life problems, their future and their paths in life. So it's very fulfilling in that regard.
Absolutely, man. Well, it's a blessing for them to have you. I'm sorry, you said will you repeat your position one more time? Because I have a question about it one more time.
Oh, I'm the director of band.
Okay, so Ty, my question with being the director of band, how do you break that down is it that you have an ear for every single instrument? Because it's a whole bunch of instruments, or is it more field work, or how does it, because that's pretty complicated.
Yeah, so one thing a lot of people don't understand is if you go to school for music, you're looking at about a 5-year undergrad degree because there's so many different parts of whatever style you're going into.
Okay.
So especially for music ed, I did music ed instrumental. I have to be proficient at every woodwind instrument, every brass instrument, percussion instruments. I have to know to a certain level how to get somebody started on all of them. I don't think there's any band director that's just a flat out master of everything, but we have our one specific instrumental discipline that we are masters at.
Okay.
I'm a percussion player and a saxophone player, so I'm lucky that in grade school I was on saxophone and I thought drums looked really cool. So my parents were like, okay, you get good at saxophone, and then we may go to a pawn shop and get a drum for $50 or $100. So that's how I was able to have a background in winds and percussion, which really served me well going into this field. But most band directors, they have what their specialty is, and then they know how to teach the other ones.
Okay. Well, dang, man. Ty, question for you. I remember you being on the band at University of South Carolina. I can't remember what instrument you played.
I was in the percussion section. I was on the drum line over there.
Okay, so you from high school you were doing, was it doing saxophone and drums, and then you or
Yeah, so when I joined band in middle school, I joined playing saxophone because I had a family member, I think it was a cousin,
okay,
and my dad bought the saxophone that he gave up on. It's like a really, really old saxophone.
yeah,
Bought it for like $50 to get me started because it's much like today. You go and you rent something new, it's going to cost you a lot more money in the long run.
yeah,
And then we didn't know if I was going to have a proclivity to it. We didn't know if I was going to be good at it. So instead of renting something for $100 a month for 12 months,
yeah,
we buy him a $50 hand me down,
yeah,
see see how he takes to it until if he gets really good and takes to it, maybe we might upgrade over time. But I started
yeah,
off on saxophone like that. Then I got in high school. I said, man, all the cool kids are playing drums. That looks so cool. And it was
yeah,
just like, you need to know what you're doing on one before you go jump into something else. And then you're just going to be mediocre at everything. And you just dabble in this and then jump to something else, dabble in this. So I got to a good level for a high school or middle school saxophone player, and
okay,
then he bought me a snare drum for $50. and then it
yeah,
just and then when I got in high school, during concert band, I always played saxophone, and during marching band, I always played percussion.
okay. Well, man, how did you end up? So with at University of South Carolina, were you studying music as well? I don't know what was your major and what was your minor at
Yeah,
University?
no, I was a music ed major.
Okay,
Yeah.
what school was that? I didn't even know where that. I didn't know that was a thing.
Uh, so the School of Music at USC is connected to the Koger Center. It's that other
Really?
little, yeah, it's
Oh,
that little small slither of a building. It depends on what side of the street you're on. If you're on Assembly Street and you're looking
Yeah.
at the Koger Center, it's that building connected to it to the right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know because I was a journalism major. That's why I did not know that at all.
Yeah.
And were most of the people that were in that, did they, I guess they all would have been, yeah, I guess everybody would have been. Was it a big school or like, was there a lot of people in that or?
Oh, it's probably the biggest music school in the state, probably the biggest music school, and I don't want to sound ignorant. I think it's the biggest music school in the state. I don't want to go as far as saying like probably the biggest or most prominent in the southeast or anything,
Okay.
but
mm-hmm.
they had a little bit of lineage there. It's a good music school.
Okay.
Nobody should feel ashamed coming out of it or going into
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. And James, question for you. Where'd you go to high school? You're from Carolina, right? Columbia? You from
Yeah,
Columbia?
no, I'm from Sumter. I went to
Okay.
high school. I went to one of the country high schools out there. I went to Lakewood High.
Okay. I've heard of it before.
Yeah.
Well,
So
nice,
three
man.
it's
Go ahead.
three major high schools in Sumter. It's Sumter High that everybody knows about, and
Okay.
then you have Crestwood High, which is on the military base side of the school district, and then you
Okay.
had Lakewood High that was out in the country. So
So that's where you're at.
yeah.
Gotcha. So also another question for you, James. Who was inspirational to you? Tyrell, sorry, I called you by it. I don't know if you go by which you go by,
Hey,
but
hey, listen, I'm just happy to be here, brother.
hey, I'm happy to have you, man. I was so happy to see you every time I run into you, every couple of years I run into you, I'm always happy to see you. You always have that big bright smile, and I said I'm always rooting for you and proud of you because I would see you on. I'd be out in LA and I'd see you on TV at WWE. I'd even see you on TV there.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to touch more on the music part first. Your dad and your mom, were they? I guess your dad was big into music, maybe. Like, how did
No,
you?
I don't know where I get it from. I
Yeah.
honestly don't, because neither one of them are musicians.
Okay.
My dad tries to carry a tune in the bucket, as they say, but he will probably wind up seeing this, and he's still around. So I'm gonna be
Yeah.
like, I don't think I got my musical gene from him or my mom. It might have
Okay.
jumped a generation or two, but I don't know. I just had a proclivity for sports and arts. I like to feel like I'm well balanced in the two.
Yeah. And then James, did you play sports growing up? I mean, your mom, if you don't,
Look like
James, we
football.
6'6".
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
football.
about 6'5", 6'6".
Mom,
Oh,
James is built.
wow.
He is built like no other. Like he's like a Hercules built.
Wow. Did you play, Brandon, you were talking about sports with him.
Yeah.
How about, did you play basketball, football, or what? Oh,
Yeah,
wrestling. Wrestling.
yeah. So in grade school, my dad is a military vet. He was a airborne ranger in Vietnam,
Holy
and
smoke!
he did boxing in the military while he was enlisted. And when I got in first grade, him and my mom was teaching me how to fight already. Well, how to defend yourself. Let's clarify it. They weren't just teaching me to be a bully, but they were teaching me how to defend myself.
Yes.
And they put me in the Sumter School of Martial Arts in first grade. And we made it kind of a family thing, because not only did I join, but my dad and my sister joined as well also. So we made it kind of like a family martial arts thing for a long time. So I did the martial arts side of it, which is one of the biggest blessings in my life that I figured out when I got older, that it teaches discipline, it teaches you how to defend yourself, teaches you respect. And so when we got done with that, I was always kind of athletic. And then I got in high school, and then a lot of coaches was like, hey man, this kid's pretty athletic. Let's get him involved. Let's give him involved in some other sports. So I started playing a lot of sports in high school. I mean, I did basketball, cross country, track, soccer,
Oh, you did it all.
Yeah, I did a lot.
Yeah. Man, I mean, and how did you balance? Especially, did you play? You said you play football too, or not football?
I dabbled in football. I put it like that, because it was hard doing
with the
football.
Schedule.
Yeah, it was hard with the schedule, and also I really love band also. So it's hard to do football and band at the same time. And my mom, I mean, we got Mama Rush on the phone, and we know how moms are about their babies in football sometimes. So
Trust me, I know firsthand.
So, my mom was kind of like, he's involved in so many activities already. And, most parents think football is pretty dangerous for their kids. So we just kind of let the football side of it go away, and I focus more on like the others, like the less contact heavy sports.
Understandable. Also, Ty, I want to say that if your dad ever wants to come on here, I'd love to have him on here. Even if he would just brush over the military. I mean, like not brush over, but to talk about his life in the military would be amazing. If that's something he wants to do. It's okay if he doesn't.
Man, I'm very grateful for that offer. I'll relay it to him. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So Ty, from you graduate college, where in the world did going after becoming a wrestler and what is your what? I remember the first one was Big E, right?
No, it was always Big Game James.
Okay, Game James.
Yeah, one of my basketball coaches in high school used to call me Big Game James whenever I did something awesome in the game. And just like, so I already got a built-in nickname. I mean,
okay. So it's Big J James?
No,
Big Game.
Big Game, like fish.
Game.
Like,
wow.
or like hunting.
Oh, great. Okay, go ahead, Brandon. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. And so, so tell us how that happened, how that came about after, because that's being in the performing arts is one thing. That's a very rare thing for people to do. Let alone, I put trying to go after being a wrestler in the level of being a professional. That's a professional athlete on every single level possible. What made you decide that, hey, you know what, man, this is something I loved wrestling growing up. I never gained the size to be able to wrestle like that. But for you, what was it that made you decide, hey, you know what, man, this is something I'm going to go after?
Well, I was always a fan of it growing up, the pageantry and everything, and all these larger than life figures that you see on TV.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. It was super cool. Then when I got to college, since I had a martial arts background, this is when MMA was starting to get big. So I had some friends going to like some local MMA gyms that were starting to pop up around Columbia and other places. And I was like, well, I already got a background in martial arts. Maybe I could do this.
Yeah.
But what I didn't like about it at the time was it was starting to get big. You had a lot of guys that didn't have a martial arts background that wanted to be tough guys. So they coming into dojos. They think they think like, hey, I'm tough. I'm a bad man. I'm just here to show people how tough I am. And if you're a real student of martial arts, that is the furthest thing from what we teach. That's the furthest thing from what we do. We don't go around trying to flex how bad we are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I kind of got turned off from the local MMA scene because of that stuff.
Okay.
Because I wasn't out there trying to hurt nobody, but I knew how to do some things with all these people coming in off of the street trying to act tough.
Yeah.
So I was still really big into wrestling, like as a fan. And I started going to like some WWE shows and things like that. And one day I went to a WWE show and I had this cool picture of me kind of like standing up to the Big Show when he's coming to the ring.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. And
Mom, Big Show 7'1" or 7'3", I think.
Yeah, I think Big Show was, I think legitimately, I think he was about 6'11", but when he put on his wrestling boots and made him closer to 7'2", you know?
Okay. Mom, he's a giant.
Yeah, but I mean, that one day, I just said to myself, the next time I come to a WWE show, I'm going to be on the other side of the rail. Yeah. So I found a trainer, and, you know, the wrestling business at the time was very protective of who they let into it. So you could find a trainer, but when they allowed you to come and do a tryout at their gym, like you had to earn the right for them to train you.
Okay.
So if you came to the gym and they gave you a tryout and they looked at you, if they think that you're a goof or somebody just there to waste their time, they're not going to accept you normally.
Yeah.
You know, at least the good ones wouldn't. There would be probably some trainers that'll just take your money, but the good trainers wouldn't accept you because they're like, this person's not serious. We'll get a little bit into the training process and then they'll probably quit or they'll run away. So I found a trainer and she put me through the ringer and I stuck through it. And you know, I just got trained for many years and then had to start off on the independent wrestling circuit like a lot of people do and a lot of people did back then, and just try to get some more notoriety, work your way up, travel places, be seen. It's not a glamorous lifestyle. So when people see the end result on TV, man, that's the tip of the iceberg, as they like to say, because it was, for most people, it's very arduous, kind of a brutal way of getting there, and not many people get there. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Tyrell, my question is also a question along those lines is like, with that training process of you going through with wrestling. So I know you guys try train. It's probably just like football where you're training year round or just trying to get the skill set right, trying to learn how to work with a partner, trying to learn how to not get hurt yourself, how to take those falls. What was that? And then the circuit part, if you wouldn't mind talking about doing that circuit a little bit, because I can only imagine being on the road, having the workout, somehow fun, you know, and probably not making that much money, but going from one location to driving. I assume you guys drive to each of these locations or you could fly, but I assume most people are driving to these locations. What was that kind of like? And how did you keep going for yourself? Like, what was it to you? Like, hey, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep doing this. This is what a guy called me to do. One of the things God called me to do.
It's a blessing and a curse with me a little bit because I'm one of those people that I like to see things through to the very end.
Amen.
And I say it's a blessing and a curse because, you know, the older I'm getting, the more I'm starting to learn that sometimes you have to evaluate where you're at a certain part of your journey. Yeah. And then also evaluate, is it advantageous for you to stay the course, or would you be better served to follow a different path that might yield more success and maybe something that is easier in your wheelhouse to get there quicker. You know what I mean? So I don't just sit there and tell people if something don't work out, you should just bail on it. But you got to be honest with yourself and where you're at in life, whether this is the best option going forward or not.
Absolutely.
But with me, I was training. I had a trainer, like old school trainer. She worked with Ric Flair and Judy Martin and a lot of those old timers. And she is, I don't want to say in the past tense, she's tough as nails. And I trained for her for about a year and some change, and she got sick. So normally the way that it happens is you train with your trainer and they help you get bookings when they feel like you're ready to go out there and perform and be in the ring and do what you're supposed to do at a safe and high level. So I started getting some bookings after about a year, and she took sick. So there was a little gap in my training and in my history because she got like badly ill, like deathly ill, and she pulled through it. But I had to be out there on my own and really didn't have her to lean on anymore because she was fighting for her life, so to say. So, when you're doing when you are starting off, I mean, it's hard. You got most independent shows run on the weekend because most people have a 9 to 5 job through the week. So they're Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I remember we used to do drives and could have a wrestling show Friday night, and then could have a wrestling show midday Saturday and Saturday night. So you would drive to another site to do like a midday show on Saturday.
Yeah.
Then you will pack up, get in the car, drive, do a Saturday night shot. We call that a double shot when you're pulling 2 shows in one day. Okay. And then you could be doing the same thing on a Sunday. You could be doing an early show and a late show on a Sunday. And it's taxing because every time you do a wrestling match, it's hard on the body. I mean, people don't understand how hard that wrestling ring really is. They don't understand how hard the ropes are. The ring ain't nothing but, some thin padding, all wood and steel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So whenever you see people get slammed or you see people hit the ropes, they're hitting like cable. Like those ropes are cable. So you got to hit them at high speed over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And you're hitting the mat over and over and over again. It's taxing on your body. So
and you get flipped around all over the place.
That's right.
What's so dangerous.
That's right.
So that's real. That real is hitting those ropes and jumping all over the place. I'm always looking at it, and I didn't know it was that rigorous of a sport.
It's brutal.
I thought it was it's entertaining to me.
Yeah.
But that y'all are actually performing that to make it look entertaining. It is though. It really is.
Yeah. We do it at a sacrifice to our own bodies a lot of times.
Wow.
I'm sure that you guys have heard many of the stories of people not taking care of themselves, becoming addicted to substances. I mean, it was whatever they had to do a lot of times back in the day. It's a much healthier activity now as far as how people take care of themselves and get away from some of the self-medicating aspects of it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
It's a push to make it healthier and to give people more longevity in the sport. I mean, you can see current wrestlers now. John Cena's on his retirement tour, but he's 48. He's been doing it for a long time. He still does it at a high level. I mean, Ric Flair had his retirement match 2 years ago at 74.
Yeah,
and
that's
The Rock. How about The Rock?
Yeah, The Rock goes.
That was my first wrestling match, by the way. The Rock. Tell me how about him? Is he retired as far as wrestling?
He keeps coming back.
No,
Has he retired? Okay.
He's on the board of directors for TKO, for the group that owns WWE. So he's still an on-air personality. He wrestled not this past WrestleMania, but the WrestleMania before. So he's far from retired. He will lace him back up in a heartbeat and come out and do a big money show.
Yeah. Well, I have to make you laugh. That was the first, like I mentioned, that was my first wrestling match. Dave's dad took us to this match. I didn't know I would be screaming like a little teenager, just go. And I was just carrying on like most of the people in the audience. It was just so much fun to watch live.
Yeah, my dad took us, James, to our first wrestling match. My dad was amazing when he was alive. He took us to our first WWE match. It was just awesome, man.
Really.
Yeah, now, it's an incredible spectacle. I mean, watching it on TV is one thing, but actually being there is night and day.
Absolutely.
How long is the training process? And you said your trainer got sick. Do you train one time? Or you're always training when you're a wrestler?
You should always be training as far as like keeping your body together, trying to keep your in-ring skills sharp, because you have to go out there. And, I liken it to any professional performer that you see that people are paying hard-earned money to go see do what they should be able to do at a high level. So, you have to stay sharp. I mean, I don't know too many musicians that will do a gig and say, okay, I don't need to practice anymore for a long time because I just did a string of gigs, so everybody still need to be in the ring trying their hardest to get better. Now again, it's arduous and it's tedious training a lot of times, so some people need to take a little bit of time off and let their body heal. And yeah, but by all wrestlers I know should be training, or you will get like this thing called ring rust, where you haven't been in the ring for a while, and you know that you need to tighten up on some of your skills.
Yeah. Ty, I had a question for you. Did you ever go to like NXT or any of those things? Were you ever, or I think it's called NXT, those training facilities down in Tampa?
Yeah, I had a tryout for WWE. The last tryout they did at Florida Championship Wrestling. It was 4 days. It was in Tampa. It was right before they moved their training facility to the Performance Center in Orlando. That was the last tryout they did in Tampa I was a part of. And it was one of the toughest things I ever done in my life. It was brutal.
Yeah, will you kind of talk about that? Yeah, go ahead.
I can talk about it. So, I had friends in the wrestling business when I got called for that tryout at Florida Championship Wrestling, and I was big on just get stronger, get bigger, get stronger, get bigger. And I had a great friend in the business saying, "Hey, you got a tryout in 2 months." He said, "Do nothing but cardio."
Ooh.
He said, "Do nothing but hit training cardio, like interval training." He said, "That's it. Don't worry about getting bigger. Don't worry about getting stronger. Just do interval training cardio." He said, "You will appreciate it when you get there." And I said, "Okay, bet." So that's all I did for like the 2 months leading up to it. And there were 72 people in this tryout. There were, I think, 60 men and 12 women, if I recall correctly.
Okay.
And some of those guys were going there to try out for a referee position on WWE, but the vast majority of us went for in-ring tryouts. Yeah. So we get there, and this is when Bill DeMott was the head of training for WWE.
Okay.
And I tell you, it was brutal. It was rough because they thought that we're about to invest in people that in a way that can change their life forever. Yeah. We don't want any fly-by-night people. We don't want people here for the wrong reasons. So they really, really push you to the limits hard to see if you will quit, to see if you would give up. And some people did. Some people left after day one. Some people left or were broken down after day two. But they wanted to see who was going to keep going, who would be a good investment, because the road's hard. A WWE lifestyle is hard. You hear the stories all the time about they're only home 2 nights out of the week, like their own home. They're always performing, they're always traveling. So you can't have somebody do that business that mentally and physically isn't prepared to do it. So, it was for a number of days, it felt like fat camp. It felt like glorified fat camp. Because that's all they did. They wore you down. And I was so happy that I always had good cardio anyway from all the endurance sports that I did, like cross country, track and stuff. But just being at the size that I am, and I shifted my training more to interval training those last 2 months instead of just, powerlifting and big guy stuff. It did me wonders. So,
wow.
Dang.
So it was 4 days. The first 3 days was all in-ring drills and cardio out the wazoo. And then the fourth day was promo day, where they put us in front of the camera and we had to come up with a promo. And there was some big wigs in the room. John Cena was in the room. When Dusty Rhodes was still alive, he was in the room. I got a funny story about Dusty here.
Let's hear
bless his heart.
I hear that too.
But up to that point, the worst wrestling injury that I ever had, I got at my WWE tryout there.
Oh, no.
And I didn't let nobody know I was hurt, but I think it was the third day that I think we did Friday. We did Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, if I recall correctly. But on that Sunday, I was just doing drills with somebody in the ring, and my knee pad slid down a little bit on my left knee. And I took a move and I got like a mat burn on my left knee. And I didn't think twice about it. It's like, okay, we're good. But I went I went back to my hotel and I woke
Mm-hmm.
up the next morning and my left knee was swollen like a cantaloupe.
You had an
That
infection.
I had an
Mm-hmm.
infection on my body, either took that little mat burn like a
Yeah,
second
because
or
it's
third
done.
degree burn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Holy smokes.
Yeah,
Oh,
so you
that
got
could be, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so I could barely straighten my leg out. I was in a lot
Oh
of pain,
no.
but thank
Uh-huh.
goodness that was the last day
Yeah.
of physical in ring stuff because I wouldn't have been able to go. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
on promo day the next day, I put on my suit because everybody looked good for promo day. And I could barely walk, but I never let on to anybody that I was hurt.
Wow.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, man. That's how you have to do
That
sometimes,
speaks
unfortunately.
volumes for you. Yeah, that speaks
Yeah,
volumes
It is
as far
thank you.
as, yeah, that speaks volumes of your
So
commitment for whatever you go into.
yes, ma'am. I try to see things out as much as possible. But on promo day, I had this promo figured out in my head, and then I think they kind of did it at random who they called up to go, and I was
Mhm.
kind of in the middle of the bunch,
Okay.
and I saw people completely freeze for like 1 minute. It was the most hurtful, most
Oh.
brutal things. Like this is your moment.
Yeah,
You
you
got a
can't mess
bunch of
up now. You got
yeah,
the
you
important
got
stuff.
yeah, and you see people just like completely shocked, and I was like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
So I get up. I said, hey, you got to be a standout. You got to you can't sit there doing the same cookie cutter stuff as everybody else because you're trying to be in the entertainment business, the
Yeah.
Showtime business. So, I did not want to do anything boring. I got up there and I started my promo. And then all of a sudden, like I'm about 10 or 15 seconds in, I just hear cut. I was like, oh God. I was like, what did I do?
Yeah.
But it was Dusty Rhodes. He yelled cut, and then he looked over. I can't remember who he was sitting beside, but he looked over and he said, hey, go check that man coat, see if he don't got like a speaker or a gimmick in his coat. He said, is that his voice? He said,
Oh,
is that
wow.
really his voice?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So he was putting over my voice saying that it was fabulous. So
Yeah.
I was like,
Sure.
awesome. So I had in my mind I was going to do like a more serious promo, and it started off serious, and then he was like, bro, he like, I don't want to do an imitation of a dessert. He was like,
Yeah.
brother, he's like, loosen up, man, loosen up, baby. You got a great voice. You look like $1,000,000, man. Just put a little bit more life in what you do. So it
Uh-huh.
kind of made me switch the tenor of my promo midway because it was supposed to be a little more dark, a little bit more serious, and
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
then like on the fly I had to adjust, which was perfectly fine because I
Yeah.
was
Uh-huh.
gonna sing like a little excerpt of a song in there because nobody else was singing, nobody else was doing anything to be a standout like that. So I had to switch
Uh-huh.
it up on the fly and smile more than I intended to smile and all, and I got through it, and
Heck yeah.
everybody said it was good, and I was just
Uh-huh.
like. And then when it was all
Oh.
said and done, I had to hop through the Tampa airport on one leg, and had to
Oh,
and had to
wow.
hop through the Atlanta airport on one leg, and
Uh-huh.
almost missed a flight. But I was like, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
They lost
Yeah.
Atlanta airport, lost my luggage coming home. I'm like, yo, it's better they lose it coming home than
Yeah,
going.
coming back.
So
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Then
that's
going,
so
yeah.
true. That is so true.
Dude, that is, man, I am proud of you, brother.
thank you.
Am proud of you. Brandon said, Mama, he has such an interest. I know he has an interesting story. And when we
Yeah.
heard that you were in wrestling at one point, and that different things Brandon was telling me about you before you came on, I got so excited to meet you. And I know I am excited. Your voice is, I mean, it really is something. Have you ever
Yeah.
thought about your voice taking James Earl Jones' voice?
Yeah.
I
Listen,
mean, he
I've
has
thought
his voice out there, but you have that same type, and radio and everything. And I can see why Dusty Rhodes said, wait a minute, is that his voice?
Yeah. Seriously.
That is a
Ty, that's one of a
blessing.
kind,
That
man.
is actually a blessing from the Lord. With everything you're doing today, when you came on, I could see you. You're not nervous. You're used to being before people, and that is great. We try to make you feel at home anyway. So, with that said, now you said you had Had you finished telling the story about that training part and having to do that in front of them, and they selected you to be on the WWE after
Yeah.
that?
What happened from
okay.
there,
So
Ty?
Yeah,
what
let's go
happens
finish
after
with
that?
that.
I believe they pick whoever they're gonna offer a contract to at that at that tryout. They
Okay.
pick
Okay.
who they're gonna, and they don't tell you how many contracts they're offering. They don't tell you how, like, to whom. Is it going to be to a female? Is it going to be to a male? You just go there and work your butt off. And then on the last day, they said, all right, we're happy to announce that we're offering contracts to, and they named 2 people. And I wasn't one of those 2 people. The vast majority of the room weren't. So it was like, okay, go home. But some people they talked to and they said, you know, stay in touch with us. So I went home and I felt very fortunate that I was somebody that I got some contacts while I was there, and they said stay in touch. So you know, I went home, I kept training, I kept grinding, and I reached out to one of my contacts, and then they got my foot in the door, and they booked me for extra talent work. And so that's when I was able to work my first like actual WWE show. And then they were doing constant tryouts at those back in the day. They don't do them as much now because of just the time constraints with everything being live. And Brandon, you in showbiz, you know about live versus taped.
Oh
you
yeah, absolutely. You gotta make sure you get everything on. You have to be everything has to be tight.
Listen, live shows are always like the stress level of the entire room is always heightened versus on tape. So back then they used to have SmackDown be taped because the way it was Raw was live. So whenever we got booked, we go to Raw and we knew where to go. We knew what locker, where we were to change and everything. We waited for further instructions for what our role was going to be on the show. And then when you go to SmackDown, back then SmackDown was taped on Tuesday and aired on Thursday or Friday. And so Raw would always be someplace closer to SmackDown. So it might be a 4-hour drive. Like, for example, I remember one time I worked Raw in Greenville, South Carolina. And SmackDown was in Columbus, Georgia. So after Raw was over, you just had everybody loaded up their cars and drive 4 or 5 hours to Columbus, Georgia. So in the middle of the night. So sometimes it's a lot of tired nights. But then once you film SmackDown the next day was where the extras would get like in-ring time and matches before they open doors and stuff to get evaluated. We would wrestle in front of the actual WWE roster and the big wigs of the company at the time. And they would just look at you and they would evaluate certain things and you know, they would give you a little bit of feedback. You would go to a promo room back then and you would cut a promo. I remember one time I took my saxophone to the promo room because I was just like, who else can play a bunch of instruments and try to cut a serious promo? So, you know, Mark Carano was one of their vice president of talent relations. And he told me one day, you're like, you in the ballpark, keep doing what you're doing. So, you know, that really, I think I became a little maniacal about, oh, you got to do more. You're so close. You're so close, you know?
But that's good, though. Man, Tyrell, I'm telling you, your time's coming, man. And if like, your time is coming. Because I'm saying, even in the movie business, I'm like, James Gunn needs to find you. Because Superman, you'd be perfect for a bad guy or something. Because you have it.
Yeah, you know, I just started watching these. That's funny you say that. I started watching these new episodes of Dexter, and I was like, man, that would be cool if I could be on Dexter's table one day. I'll be.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Absolutely, man.
I fit the bill.
Auditioned for that. The new season. I auditioned for that. I didn't get it, but I ended up auditioning for that. But you know, sorry, I just had to say that about. But I mean, I'm telling you, man, you're talented enough for it. I believe. Like, I can kind of help you out with pointing in the right direction with stuff you should do with that. It's the because did you end up getting your SAG card through that?
No, I have not gotten my SAG card through that. I've done some bit stuff. I've done like a couple commercials.
Yeah. I saw that commercial you did that was really good.
Yeah.
He did a commercial.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, the commercial was awesome.
Yeah, I've done a couple commercials.
Great.
You know, I'll be real with you, like I always am. My biggest thing is trying to find the most direct route between point A and point B. And sometimes when you start researching a route to try to get to what you think or what you believe you can do, you run into somebody that has they don't have the best intentions for you. You run into like some scams. It's very hard to find somebody that can help get you from A to B the right way, the most efficient way. So
well, I'm going to tell you right now, and if people are listening, they're welcome to hear it too. Tyrell, I was very lucky and blessed that when I was in Carolina still, that summer, I did a movie. I worked as a background extra on a movie called Nailed. It was by David O. Russell. and there was an actor named there's a black actor named David Ramsey who I love to death. David Ramsey ended up playing Diggle on the TV series Arrow, and black actor. He was also in Dexter too. I'm not sure if you watched the original Dexter's, but he played the boyfriend of the sister. He was a black boyfriend of the sister, and I said, I asked him, I'm like, hey, look, I got into school out in California, acting school out in California. What can I do, man? How do I just go about getting ahead? How do I go about making it in this business? And he told me the same thing I'm going to tell you, and this is the same thing that I have done. The reason I am where I am today, because he was right. He said, Brandon, as a black actor, you have to go directly to the casting directors. You have to go, the casting directors and the casting associates through showcases. He said, if you perform at showcases are these places, Tyrell, where you go there, a casting director or casting associate would be there, and you perform a scene. Now, it is not an audition. It is literally an opportunity to be seen, just like you performing in front of Dusty Rhodes and all those guys.
Promotion. Yeah, the promotion.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. So you're going there, they give you a scene. It could be 2 pages, it could be 3 pages, and then sometimes they give you the option of doing a longer piece. When I listened to exactly what David Ramsey did. I went out to LA. I did my first showcase in front of all these working actors and actresses that I'd seen, and I got embarrassed. The casting associate embarrassed the heck out of me, but she was being honest. She's like, Brandon, you're green, which means, being green means the fact that you're not ready or you need to work. You need to work on auditioning.
We got the same term in wrestling.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, so yeah, you're green.
He had the Dusty, you had that person.
Yeah, so that's basically what Dusty was saying. That's what they're telling you. But you work on it. So what I did was I worked on it. I got better. I never wanted to be embarrassed like she embarrassed me that day. So I got better and I continued doing those showcases. And what they said to me was this. They said, hey, after a while, do you have an agent? I said, no. And like, you know what? You're talented. We're going to call you in directly anyway. So the thing I'm saying, to cut past everything, I didn't go the agent route, Tyrell, and I still haven't all this time. I've always gone directly with the showcase route because that gives you an opportunity to perform for them. They can see where you're at and they can see, hey, you got to work on this, you work on that, because then they will call you in directly. So that helped me. That's how I went ahead about going about being in, getting to everything I accomplished in New York and LA was all showcases through both those places. Atlanta was different. Atlanta was actually, I had an agent because I had a resume at that time. So the thing I would tell you to do is that, and you can always call me and talk to me about it, and I'll literally direct you the same way, is I went for, listen to what David Ramsey said, and sorry I'm making this a little bit longer than I meant to.
No, you're good.
I looked for shows that had, and there's other thing, it was him and a white actor named Peter Coyote from E.T. They both told me the same thing about casting directors or the way that you had to do it, because that's what they did. I looked for TV shows that had black people in them. If they didn't have a black person on that show, I didn't apply for it because I was like, you know what? It looked like they probably weren't casting for that. So there were certain shows I knew, hey, I'm not going to waste my time. If I didn't see a black character in somewhere, there's no point in me wasting my time doing that because I know they're not casting for that. So by going to the ones directly, I did 20 showcases. Of those 20, 19 hired me. So the route for that, Tyrell, so at least for acting wise, I can point you in the right direction with that. Voiceover, I don't know as much. Just because I haven't done much voiceover work just on ADR movies. But the thing with that would be going to imdb.com or IMDb Pro, looking at video games or cartoons and looking at the actor that is cast in that role and then seeing who their agent is. Because IMDb Pro and IMDb.com, they show you who that represents that person. So that would be my suggestion for both of those.
Okay, thank you. That's great information.
Sorry for the novel, man. But you can call me more. I'll tell you more about it. But that's exactly what I did.
Brandon, I appreciate you sharing that with Tyrell. Tyrell, one thing you will learn about Brandon, he's very open. He tries to help as many people as he can. And he shows you what he has had to go through. And as you know, being going out for being in the WWE, it is not an easy road. It's a hard road, but you never give up on your dreams. And I'm so glad you haven't given up on yours. And you continue to Brandon takes other jobs. He does other things on the side. For instance, this show.
But
while he's preparing for the next. So go ahead and talk.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, absolutely. Even as a teacher, I tell kids that they have a dream, that they should make a plan for that dream. I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. They know what they believe they want to do and they know what their dream to do, but then you try to ask them, all right, what's your plan to get there? I believe it's important to put a timeline on progress, because if your dream is to be I mean, and also looking at the reality of your situation. If your dream is to be like an NBA player and you're 5'5", like you could be in the gym grinding as much as you want to, and nobody gonna tell you can't. But also, it's like there's haven't been a lot of NBA players below 6 feet tall or below 5'10". So
Yeah.
you never want to discourage anybody's dream, but then you also don't want them to put too much time and effort on a long shot instead of finding whatever your ability is.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, but look at me for example. I'm
Mhm.
6'5", and I got some friends that are really well to do that are 5'6". So they might have
Mhm.
learned at a young age, hey, I love sports or I love entertainment, but there's
Mhm.
probably going to be less of a demand for somebody 5'6" to go into this. So they turn their attention and time to something that they're going to receive a lot more success at. And I got some really well-to-do friends that
Mhm.
own software companies, own like major tech industry companies and
Uh-huh.
things like that. Now,
Yeah.
if they were taller or bigger, they were like 6'1", they might have taken all that time to try to get into the NFL or
Yeah.
the or
Yeah.
Major League Baseball or something. And
Mhm.
then if it doesn't pan out, it's hard to try to regain that time back. So again, I don't tell anybody not to follow your dream and your passion, but
Mhm.
you gotta have realistic mentors and people around you to kind of tell you,
Yeah.
listen, we need to track your progress for this amount of time, and we need
Mhm.
to reevaluate like every year where you're at. Because if you're chipping away at it and you seem like you're making positive progress, then let's
Mhm.
keep going. But if you're
Yeah.
kind of like all over the place and it's a step forward but 5 steps back and stuff like that, then maybe we need
Mhm.
to reevaluate your time and see what we can do to get you to some level of ultimate success. Because I've told my students before, whoever came up, the man that came up with waste management, well, being a garbage man, I'm sure he didn't wake up one day and say, I got the dream of working in garbage the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And rich beyond their wildest imagination because they came up with something simple. And I
Yeah.
told my students, I said, look, you go towards what people are running from, you will probably find financial success immensely. I said, I don't know too many broke undertakers.
Yeah.
I do not I do not know too many poor people working like in the sewers or working the power lines, the things people don't really want to do.
Yeah.
If you're
Mhm.
willing to run that route, you can
Mhm.
find quicker success at it. But
Yeah.
again, I don't take away from anybody's dream. I just want people to be,
Realistic towards certain.
be realistic and have a certain level of realism to what they're trying to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
A direction to get to that destination.
Yeah.
Um, what I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned something about you had a certified trainer who was a female. Tell me how it was, she a wrestler, and how did she train you being a female?
Yeah, so her name is Susan Tex Green.
Mm-hmm.
I started off with her in the beginning. Now I've trained with some other trainers throughout the time, but that's who I
Mm-hmm.
started off with.
Mm-hmm.
And I went in and, she's very old school. You can look her up on Google and some YouTube videos, but she wrestled back in the day when the wrestling
Oh,
mats were pretty
okay.
much like extra hard because they were more like boxing rings. So they
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
were even extra hard back in the day. I mean, they're hard now. They were just
Mm-hmm.
ungodly stiff back then.
Yeah.
But I walked into her gym and I told her what I wanted to do. So she showed me some basics. She showed me how to throw a punch, and then she told me, she was like, "All right, hit me." And I didn't really hit her hard, and she was like, "No, all right, you gotta hit me." She said, "Like,
Mm-hmm.
hit me, tee off on me." And I was like, "Man, I
Okay.
don't want to hit you. I'll kill you, woman." Like, and then I kind of like half hit her again. She said, "All right." She said, "This ain't gonna work if you're not willing to lay it in on me." And
Oh.
so I just
Oh,
hauled
wow.
back and I hit the crap out of her. I didn't hit her in the face or anything, but I just
Uh-huh.
hit her across the chest with a big forearm. She said,
Uh-huh.
"All right, we can go now."
Yeah.
Oh,
Now,
this is
she,
great to know.
yeah, she was
Oh,
like,
wow.
now I know I got something I can probably work with.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
but
imagine.
she is ultra tough. She's she's crazy. She gets randomly injured sometimes doing something tough.
Yeah.
Like they don't.
This is so amazing. I'm just
Yeah.
listening to you, and she must be amazing as well.
No,
I
she's
don't know
awesome.
too many people in the wrestling world, but you picking her as a trainer, and she instilling you to go for it, and giving you techniques. I mean, that's amazing to know. I want people out there to hear that story because that's really great. Some men might turn off on getting a female trainer. And I would probably go for a male trainer because I know
No,
if I learn how to do that, but I wouldn't go for it now. But I
yeah.
appreciate you picking a female to train you.
Yeah.
But she was my first. Like I said, because a lot of people have different ways of doing stuff, so you don't just
Mm-hmm.
get bogged down with one or just be myopic and say I'm only
Uh-huh.
going with this. I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of people open their doors for me to come in and train with them.
I can see why.
Ethan Case, he's a local trainer. He got a wrestling school. Bob Keller, I worked for him
Mm.
before. Danny Cage that runs the Monster Factory up in New Jersey, like one of the foremost
Mm-hmm.
wrestling schools in
Mm-hmm.
the country. QT Marshall had a wrestling school in Atlanta. These people
Wow.
open their doors and allow you, even if you started someplace else, they allow you to come into their facility. If you're cool and you're friendly with them and you're
Yeah.
respectful, they allow you to come
Mm-hmm.
into their facility and maybe learn a different way of doing some things. Just start
Mm-hmm.
to see how other people do things and how other people train, which
Sure.
it's a real blessing that a lot of these kind people open their doors to me like that.
Oh, but I can see why they would for you,
Absolutely.
Tyrell. Could
Sorry.
I ask
No,
you
no,
one
go
more
ahead,
question
Mom.
before you come in? I want to ask him about his diet.
Yeah, you're good.
When you, as a wrestler, do they tell you about certain things you should eat, or do you take it upon yourself to decide how you plan to eat and how that's going to work out for your body type?
Well, they always telling you like they got strength coaches and nutrition experts because
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
WWE is a Fortune 500 company and now they merged with TKO, the same group that owns the UFC.
Oh wow.
So they have coaches and dietitians all over the place. I used to say that one of the biggest reasons to get signed was WWE has amazing catering whenever they're on the road. So
Oh,
whenever you go to Raw or SmackDown, the spread, the first time I went, I was just like, man, I get it. I can get anything I want from this table. I'm talking about steaks,
Yeah.
rice, chicken, all types of salad, whatever you wanted.
yes.
They had an amazing spread for everybody. But
Yeah.
sometimes I used to think like it was an urban legend, it was a trap because you always act like somebody's watching you. So I wonder like if any WWE producers or anything were just kind of lingering around watching, is this person about to come through and go straight to the dessert table, or
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
are they gonna pay attention to what they eat and try to get like a healthy spread or something?
Wow.
Like I went to the dessert table. I looked around like I done stole something. I was like,
Yeah.
man. I said, who watching me? I said,
Yeah.
well, look, man. I said, I try to stay physically fit so they could see that. So, if
That
I got a piece of their chocolate cake, it's like, man, maybe this is the point
that's the
where I
most
don't get
amazing thing to
I
think
don't
of.
get signed because I ate cake.
Oh, you ate the cake.
Well, you know what? That Brandon, I'm gonna let you get about. I have to
Oh, you're
share
good.
this
Take your time.
story with Tyrell. Tyrell, I sold medicines. I was a pharmaceutical rep. I am a scientist, so we would always have these amazing lunches. I mean, a spread of food from I don't know where. They always had the best caterers for us. And Brandon will tell you about his experience on sets too. But with that said, we had one young lady, and I think she was in training for the WWE or for TKO, whatever. She was in training. She had her food sent in. It was not, she would never eat anything from the caterers. With us as reps, her food, she would come, we'd be in class all together, and she was built. I mean, really built. And she knew that she had this other thing of wrestling because one day I asked her, I said, why aren't you eating anything? She said, oh, my food, I already have my food. It's already in my room. It wasn't made by anybody at the restaurant. It was just flown in for her. And it was the most amazing thing. And she kept her size the whole time. I mean, she was that disciplined in everything as far as I don't know about that because I wasn't in the same classroom to see if she learned as well, but she was able to do that. We became friends because I was just asking her questions about her eating habits. So they do look at that in your profession to make sure you stay there. And I think she always wanted to continue her wrestling career with being a rep out there as well. So go ahead now, Brandon. I just wanted to interject that.
Ty, one thing I wanted to say was about Dusty. I had a couple stories I knew about, at least two different things. One, my aunt was broken down in Columbia, South Carolina one time on the side of the road, or maybe it was Georgia. It was either Columbia or it was Georgia. And she was trying to fix her car, and Dusty Rhodes happened to be driving by. He stopped, he picked my aunt up, and he drove her to a gas station where she could get some help. So that's where we first.
Brett, I didn't know that story.
Oh yeah, this happened in the 80s.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So, but her car had broken down on the side of the road, and up comes this guy. I think he said he was in a Cadillac, whatever, and out pops Dusty Rhodes. And Dusty Rhodes saw that she was having trouble, so he went and took her to go get help. And that's what got us.
That gives me a double respect for him.
Yeah, that's what got us loving Dusty the most. Was that one story? But then I've always heard so many wrestlers that come along that said how much Dusty Rhodes helped out new talent and how much he believed in people and how he helped those people come along. And I always loved that fact that what you even said with that story of Dusty saying like, "Hey, is that your voice?" and encouraging you, saying, "Come on, brother," with it, because he had a lot of soul power to him. He was like a brother.
Yeah. And, I mean, he was the American dream, man.
Yeah,
they used to have those old promos of him, like celebrating him winning a title with like all the black folks coming in, like pushing them up on his shoulders and all. Yeah.
Yeah, Mom, Dusty was great. And another story I kind of like too is I actually love his son too. Actually, I love both sons. Both sons have been great. I saw that it's no longer Gold Dust, but the old Dustin became a champion. I saw in his wrestling league. But I always love what Cody did, and the reason I say I love what Cody did with leaving, starting his own thing with AEW, and then coming back was I kind of feel the same way. Like when I was in LA, man, and we were talking about people holding on to their dreams and whatnot, or when is it time to give up? I did my first movie and I did my first soap opera, my first national commercial, my first year in LA. I'm like, hey man, I've made it. This is my time. And then 4 years went by and nothing. I didn't get a single thing, and I had to find ways to keep myself encouraged. But I just believed that I had this dream within me. Mm-hmm. But then that's when I really went full in with doing those showcases. I was working background work. I was Lawrence Fishburne's stand-in. That's the guy that played Morpheus.
Yeah,
I was his stand-in for 2 years on a show called CSI. And then I was working stand-in for all kinds of other actors, even Samuel Jackson one time. And I kept myself busy doing background work. And then I was doing showcases at night. So I'd be doing background work all day. I get off and I go to a showcase. And I keep telling myself, I know I had this within me. I know my time is coming. My time is coming. So what I love about what you've done and what even Cody has done is the fact that he believed in himself. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to go out my own. I'm going to become the American Nightmare and showcase what I'm capable of doing. So for me, I reached a certain level in LA where I'm like, hey, I'm not going out, and they're keeping me right here. I'm pool boy number 7. But in New York and Atlanta, I'm going out I'm playing reoccurring characters, I'm playing main characters, and I'm auditioning for the biggest stuff possible. And that let me know, and it wasn't the casting director's fault or anything like that, because the casting directors were trying their best in LA with what they could. But in New York, I was saying, hey, hold on a second, Brandon. They're giving you these guest stars, co-stars that have a lot of dialogue. And they also saw me at Showcase, so they knew I could do a lot of dialogue. But I was seeing the opportunities in New York, and I was seeing the opportunities in Atlanta and New Orleans, which is why I left LA and started branching out and working so much. Like my last, I think 30 plus roles have been in New York and Atlanta, because they were actually, I was being seen the way I should be, I feel, where in LA, I wasn't getting that opportunity. So that's why I love with Cody. Cody went out, became the American Nightmare. And then WWE asked him back to, be on WWE. And the whole entire crowd was behind him. Everybody was behind him because he did that struggle of building his name and showing what he was capable of. And then by the time he came back, that's why he ultimately became champion. He put the work in. So just the only thing I was saying along those lines was just putting that work in. If you feel that you're not getting properly seen in a certain area, sometimes you have to branch out and go a different direction within that. It might be the harder route. It might take you longer, like doing the independent circle. But if you're getting seen, it's getting you built up, it's worth that journey in the end.
Yeah, I think one thing that hampers most people is just fear of the unknown. And if you are comfortable within a system, then that may not be the best route for you. Like, they're going to keep you in a certain system at a certain level because you're okay with it. And one of the hardest things to do is to bet on yourself and to break being comfortable within whatever system you're in, to go out and say, okay, I'm leaving the safety and the comfort of this system that I'm already a part of, that I'm already familiar with, to go out there and boost my own value, because that's a risk. Because if it don't work out, then you might be now, your value is less than it was when you left that comfortable system, and now you're trying to like, yo, take me back. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. But like you said, he did it well because he left the WWE system and he worked. It was independence. He started working independence and doing like getting his name out there again, and then he got in with a couple other people, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Tony Khan. It's like, let's put together a company. But that's the thing. You go someplace. I don't believe
Tyrell.
anybody...
Sorry, I gotta say one thing real quick. Mom, just so you know, the person we're talking about is Dusty Rhodes' son.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right,
thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, I realized you didn't know. Go ahead, Tyrell.
Yeah, I don't know them as well as you all.
It's all. It's Dusty Rhodes' youngest son. But go back to Tyrell. You're good.
Did Mama Rush text you a little message saying, "Who is that?" No.
Oh no, I realized because I watched it that she didn't realize who I was talking about.
Yeah. So I'm just listening. I know you're gonna get, if you don't explain it here to all our listeners, because a lot of them don't know.
Oh, you didn't know
as well as you too.
Dusty Rhodes was the American Dream, so his son came up with the American Nightmare because he was coming after everybody.
Okay. So, listeners, have y'all heard that?
Yeah. Sorry, Tyrell, I just had to throw that in there.
Go ahead, Tyrell. Go ahead, Tyrell.
Yeah, go ahead, Tyrell.
That's really important, man. It's really important to set the table for all the listeners. And me and you talking, we're talking like everybody's an insider, but man,
you're not.
But see, that's the thing about whatever industry you're trying to go into and you're trying to build a following. You can't expect everybody that comes across what you're doing to be a hardcore weekly listener and they know everything that we're talking about.
Yes.
So it's very important to kind of like fill the gaps of the gaps in their knowledge of what we're discussing. So I mean, that's awesome. That's the right thing to do.
Yeah, sorry, Tara. I didn't mean it. I realized that halfway through. I'm like, oh my gosh, Mom didn't realize that this is Dusty Rhodes' son I'm talking about.
No,
and then our listeners too.
So go with it.
So Tyrell, you said he was working independent role with Tony Khan and those guys. That's where you're at.
Well, yeah. He was working when he left WWE. He was working like some independent shows, like reestablishing his brand, coming out. And when he left WWE, he was
Stardust.
He was Stardust.
Yeah.
And he wasn't happy. And look, I'm not trying to tell another man's story, but he wasn't happy with the way all that was going.
This is a part of your story too.
So he goes out and he reinvents himself on the independent circuit and got a lot of traction. And then they had an idea for a new wrestling company with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, and then they brought Tony Khan into the mix and they started AEW. And I guess once, and again, Lord, you can build something, but even when it doesn't serve you anymore, I mean, it's okay to go to what serves you next.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
some people get too stuck in where they're at, and again, it is very scary to do something new and something different once you've already established yourself in a certain area or a certain industry. It's like, okay, here I'm leaving a safety net behind. Here we go into the big world, and that's that's what's so awesome about you, Brandon, is that you left South Carolina and you say, hey, I want to make this happen. We're talking about giving up on dreams and stuff, but when you went to those not casting calls,
showcases,
when you went to those showcases and you got picked up for like 19 out of 20 of them, it's like, dude, you got incredible momentum going. Now, if it was somebody else and they went 0 for 20, I'd be like, all right, so we need to look at why nobody picked you up, to save time and to like reevaluate where we're going. But if somebody keep trying this for 5 years, 10 years, and they getting no traction, it's like,
maybe it's time.
because time's rough and it doesn't stop for anybody.
Well, I understand.
But just the fact that, Brandon, you knew your value was higher than what you were getting in Hollywood, because again, I've said this more than once. Once people know you're good at something,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they're less likely to promote you up to something else because they say, well,
Oh
they're
yeah.
already good at it, and
Yeah.
we're getting them undervalued good at this one thing. So why
Mm-hmm.
do we need to promote this person to a
Yeah.
bigger role or something else
Mm-hmm.
bigger? So
Mm-hmm.
we get stuck in a rut sometimes just because we are awesome at what we do.
Yeah.
So you going off to Atlanta, going off to New York,
York.
saying, okay, I need to continue to boost my value. Doing this podcast is boosting your value
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
everybody know what you're doing. You have a lot of eyes watching you, and again, that's why I'm very appreciative that you're bringing me on your
Oh,
forum
of course, man.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure
because
thing.
I mean, it's your
Y-
work. This is your work. I take it seriously. You take it seriously, so I much appreciate it. But you gotta go to where the business is because we're not getting any younger. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
Right.
we keep ourselves in shape. We try to do the right things with our
Mm-hmm.
health and our diet and all, but we're not getting any younger.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the
Right.
cool things about show business is they're always looking for somebody that looks like you or
Yeah.
me or the
Yeah.
next
Mm-hmm.
person, but you got to be in front of them to see what you can do.
Absolutely.
And they got to know you exist. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I do know what you're saying all the way.
Yeah, that is excellent advice. And thank you for commenting about Brandon.
Yeah.
I
Thank
told Brandon in this life, as you know, uh, you have to come in this life to be, if you're comfortable, are you really making a difference? You have to become, you're making a difference. You probably feel comfortable in your own, what you're doing, but you have to become uncomfortable. I think the Lord has always made me feel uncomfortable to move me forward. And he always instructed me never to look back, but I must move forward so I can impact lives of others. And you mentioned something earlier, Tyrell, about fear. And I think fear is one's greatest enemy. It is not mine because I almost died 6 times, but it's not mine. But fear is our greatest enemy, our one's greatest enemy. And I think it blinds the soul and it paralyzes the spirit. And so, with that, that was something I read in a book I have. And so, with that, I'm glad you are a mentor to young people. I can hear it. I can hear how you encourage them. They look at you as being a role model for them and the things that you continue to do. And so I'm just appreciative. I'm not stopping you from what I want you to continue to speak, but I just want to share that little portion because you mentioned fear. And I just want people to understand that when you have no fear, you can go forward and do a lot of things. Uh,
Yeah, it's you're so kind for saying that. I appreciate it immensely. Thank you for saying that. It's the worst anybody can normally tell you is no. Because when you get down to it, now there's versions of
that's
no
true.
and there's versions of yes, but
Yeah.
the
Mm-hmm.
worst, but when it all boils down to it and you ask somebody a question, it's either going to be no or it's going to be yes, and but how it's delivered is going to be one thing or the other. But
Uh-huh.
when it breaks down to you got to try. And a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
we as humans, we tell ourselves no, we can't before we even allow somebody else to tell you no.
Yeah.
So,
See that
you know,
answer? He said, that's perfect, Tyrell.
Amen.
That's perfect. Brandon and I always talk about that and think that. I said, Brandon, don't ask. The answer is no. And so,
Yeah.
yeah,
and people wonder why I always go to the top of the chain because it's no, and I didn't know that from the start. I have a brother, and he told me one time. He said, "You're gonna keep messing around asking the wrong people." He said, "Just go to the top because they're gonna have to go to the top anyway." And so
well,
some people don't feel comfortable there, but I feel if I have the Lord on my side, and He is the master, and He is the top of everybody's life's journey, then if he tells me to go forward, I go forward. He's the only one I never want to say no to me is our Savior. So go ahead,
well,
Brandon.
it's incredible. And again, it's I've known Brandon for a long time, and
Mm-hmm.
there's gaps in time that we haven't talked to each other because I mean life start happening. It's not
Yeah.
anything
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud of, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you just want to know that somebody you like and care about is doing well for themselves, even if you don't talk all day or talk
Yeah.
every day.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things is that he offered me to come on. I know that he's offered other people to come on his platform. He doesn't have to do that. The thing about it is as humans, sometimes we get a little foot up in life and we don't reach the hand down to try to pull up somebody else that's trying, or we don't drop the ladder from the
ladder back down or
helicopter to
elevator
top.
back down.
That's right.
Yeah, because some people are so fearful of the next person getting a little leg
Isn't
up
that
on them. So I
sad?
mean, so it's just like funny hearing Mama Russ say like sometimes you got to go to the top, because if you try to follow protocol and you try to do things the right way, then the next person up from you may feel like you're a threat.
That's
And,
correct. That
you
happened
know,
to me. Where's
yeah,
my
it
teapot?
did.
I need my teapot to pour some tea, because that where is my teapot? Tyrell, usually I told Brandon, when somebody's spilling some tea, I said, Mama Russia's gonna pour her tea. So any rate,
yeah.
go ahead, tell that.
No, it
Continue with
just
that, Tyrell.
no, it's just nothing is more intimidating to a mediocre person than a hard-working person, because it casts a light on their shortcomings, which they can't have. And I know Brandon know a lot of people that probably gotten to the top of an industry by maybe not having the best talent, but or the best work ethic, but by kissing the most butt, or being friends with somebody that can make their life better. And Brandon out here grinding, people like me out here grinding and stuff, and some other people look at us like they're coming for me because I got here. I took the elevator to success and they're climbing the mountain, you know?
That's so true.
And again, I never hate on the way somebody gets to be successful or get to some place they want to be at. I have a problem with when they want to burn the rope ladder to stop anybody else from coming up after them. You know,
it's wild.
Yeah.
Tyrell, we talked about. I'm right there with you. And one of the reasons, Ty, that I did this show is because I realized God's blessed me, and I know a lot of people, and I wanted to help so many people that have helped me, especially in the movie business and even friends. That's why I created this one-time thing. It took me forever, but I realized that God gave me that I have the network of people that we can all grow up together. And all that was done wrong to me, I wanted to use this platform and this show to do right by others, because there were so many people that could have helped me. But I wanted to do everything that was done. What was meant for my harm ended up for my good. So all the harm that was done to me, I'm there's a word I'm gonna use for it, being fancy, but basically I want to do the exact opposite. I want to help those people up. It doesn't hurt me any by why not try and help? So I want someone to be able to pay bills, pay for the roof over their head. Like, it's not competition.
And enjoy what they doing.
Yeah. You know, so I'm like, why not put my friends on here? If God's blessing me, why not bless someone else? It doesn't hurt me any, and it's helping somebody, because my parents raised me to help people.
So the way that I see it is it's all energy. Because you can't destroy energy, you can only channel it. So if you're getting and receiving negative energy from a person, from a group of people, you have choices of what you can do in turn. You can give forth the same type of negative energy back to the people that gave it to you. You can absorb the negative energy you got and then distribute it, the same negative energy, amongst others around you. Or you can take in that energy and channel it for something good. And it seems like that's where you're choosing to do. You taking in people trying to hold you back. You taking in like naysayers and things, and you deal with it all. And you want to put love and positive energy back out there in the universe. And I tell people all the time, most people do not learn anything of value without pain associated with it. And it's wisdom. I know a lot of smart people. I know a lot of intelligent people, but they're not wise, because because I'm a firm believer. I'm a firm believer that wisdom comes at a price. You have to pay some type of price to be wise. You can be smart, but most people, their call to action doesn't happen until some belief system or something in their life gets completely uprooted that makes them have to view everything that they thought they knew in a different route or in a different manner. So, when that energy comes, we've all had bad things. Brandon, you lost your dad. I'm sure that was a trying time in your life. Both of my parents are still with me, and I know that if everything follows the natural order, I will lose them at some point in time too. And what am I going to do with that gap of energy in my life? Like, am I going to, and I've had some really trying things happen to me in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a lot of energy. It's what are you gonna do? Like, are you going to explode on other people and just give negative energy back? Or it's, I found a lot of positive things to fill that void with, or to fill that energy out with. I start doing yoga, I start being outdoors more. It's like you got to figure out a way to give it back in a more positive way than you received it, because you're not going to destroy the energy, but you can redistribute it in a positive way.
I hope with what you're saying, and I appreciate it so much. I hope our young listeners, and we have a group of young listeners all the way through, will hear your words. I can see why, being the director of band, that you are bands, is bands plural or band? Director band, the title.
Well, we got multiple bands. So it's
Yeah,
bands plural: marching
yeah,
band,
yeah.
concert band, jazz band.
And at the beginning, you told me that in the beginning you told us, told everybody out there listening, ran out 11 million people in the cities we're in the countries and the continents that we're on. You told everybody in the very beginning that you share wisdom, you mentor young people, you give advice to young people, and I know how they listen. I know our listeners are listening today with all your positive words, your experiences. And one thing I'm going to ask you, because I know you've done so much, and Brand, this is my final question.
Okay, it sounds good.
Because you are so great at being that director, have you ever thought about being a certified trainer for the WWE? Because I know there are a lot of young people that need someone like you. I know you have so much on your plate, but do you have a side plate to offer that type of training?
I would if they wanted it, if they needed
Okay.
it, but I know that they have their way of doing everything. It's a massive system, and they
Okay.
they have their ways of doing things. If they call me and say, "Hey, you want to be a ring announcer, or
Yeah.
you want to try for commentary or anything like that?"
Yeah.
I'll be
Well,
like, I'm
yeah.
listening.
Well,
But I
these
know that,
I think
but
the young people can identify with you with that. And I when you were talking about the different things you have done, especially with the WWE and the WWE, you're getting a lot today on this, because I know a lot of young children out there want to find direction and what they want to be in life. And it might not always be the straight line to it, up those stairs straight to it, but it might have to they might have to go through different ways to get there. And I think you have shared that with us. And so you said if they're willing and they want to, but you go through the WWE, that's how you get to be a trainer. Is that correct? A
um,
certified trainer.
I the word certified and WWE don't it don't really like go well together, because it's not
Okay.
like, so they have, when it comes to trying to break into the business, they have some wrestling schools around the country, around the world, that they
Mm-hmm.
have, that they put their seal of approval on, like
Mm-hmm.
Cody's in Atlanta, the Nightmare Factory. They're
Nice.
affiliated with WWE. So it's like, if you want to get into that business and kind of already be in a place where the WWE can see you, then going to one of those schools that's already recognized by them is a good way to do it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's other options also. Like AEW is a big wrestling company on the come up. They've been around
Mm-hmm.
for, I think, about 6 years now,
Mm-hmm.
and they're always looking for talent. You can go overseas.
Yeah.
You got New Japan Pro Wrestling. Wrestling is huge in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's more than one way to getting to what you want to do. But the only
Yeah.
thing that I ever preach to people is have your timeline and know that you're doing the right things within that
Mm-hmm.
timeline, that
Uh-huh.
you can give yourself a good evaluation when that period of time is over. You can say, okay, let's just do a redirect. We're
Mm-hmm.
making headway here, but
Mm-hmm.
let's change this and let's change this and see if we can make some more headway. So
I
it's
see.
always having people, you need to have people around you that you trust to tell you the worst things sometimes. I think
Yeah.
that's huge.
I think.
You can't just have friends around you to tell you how great you are all the time,
Yeah.
because you
Mm-hmm.
don't learn. I did
Mm-hmm.
this activity called Drum and Bugle Corps when I was
Mm-hmm.
in college, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's almost like professional marching band, and you have some really, really tough teachers, and you go on tour all summer. And I had a really tough teacher in drum corps, and his thing was, it's got to be right, and it got to be right now. So I've always been the type of person that I appreciated critical feedback, because if somebody's telling you how awesome you are all the time, you don't grow, you don't get better. It goes back to what you was talking about, being comfortable. You have to put yourself voluntarily into moments and situations of discomfort to grow, because you don't learn anything when things are going too well.
That's
you just
correct.
don't. So
yeah,
Ty, you've been amazing, brother.
Yeah, it really has. The only reason I said that, because I think about my grandson is 11 years old, but he doesn't live in the state where I am, and I always think about programs to get kids off the street. To get them, he's not on the street way, but I'm just saying, young people listening, they need to, and if parents don't have the time, those kind of, I think about the YMCA, how it helped our children so much. Brandon grew up at the YMCA, and my other son grew up at the YMCA. And so with that, I saw those programs forge such a positive experience for them while we were at work. And so I'm just looking at camps for little kids, and I could see a little kid walking in and seeing a 6'5" man talking to them and saying, okay, this is what you do with that voice. I think it's so excited. Wait, just a minute. So that's why I mentioned you becoming that kind of certified training. You already doing that with band, but with little kids that want to do wrestling, because they be falling all over the floor. I see them practicing what they see on TV.
Yeah.
And so with that, that's why I mentioned that as well. But Brandon, that's all the questions I have. I want to make sure I asked everything. Time flew, didn't it?
Yeah. I hope you had a good time.
Always
today,
when you're having a good time, right?
Did you have a good time?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. This was awesome. This was enjoyable. This was educational. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Anytime. And then Tyrell, make sure, Mom, there's a final thing I'll close it with.
Okay.
Tyrell, one of the things I appreciate, I was with Jessica, Nurse Jessica, or Nurse Jess.
Yeah.
And we happened to walk into that gaming place, and I saw you with your two buddies. And I was so happy to see you, because every time I see you, I always light up. And your two buddies seemed like one of your buddies was down on his luck, Mom. And his buddy, I don't know his name, but I believe that he's a musician of some type.
Yeah.
Who's worked with all these different artists. And literally while we were there, Tyrell and his buddy, there's a choir person, I believe, if I have that correct.
Yep.
Oh, nice. My memory is good. Was trying to encourage their buddy about, hey, it's not over, or you just got to get back out there. And I appreciate you for giving him that encouragement. And I'm thankful for Jess having us walk in there, one, because I got to see you, but it happened to be at the right time, because I want those two guys to come on this show. It's sometimes God has you show up places for a reason. And God had you guys be in there that day. He had Jess bring me, because I wasn't even going to walk in there. Jess was just like, hey, Brandon, let's go inside here. And I saw you. I gave you, you gave me a big hug. I gave you a big hug too. And you were talking to your buddies who were down on their luck. And he was down on his luck. And this place is a place of encouragement. I would love for him to come on, because I did ask them both to come on. So hopefully after they see your show, they know that, hey, this is a place where you can talk about yourself. This is where you can get your experiences out there. We have ways of creating opportunities for people, and at least get all I got to do is send it out to people, and opportunities will come. So I want those two to know that they can still come in here and tell their story. I'm glad we finally got you. You told me you're busy with school, so I understood. So I'm glad we got you now. But let those two guys know that they can come on here.
Wow.
And your dad too.
Right on. Well, thank you again, brother. Thank you, Mama.
Right on. He sound like Barry White and Isaac
absolutely.
Hayes. Right. I met Isaac Hayes one time. I heard he said, right on. I remember Isaac Hayes walking up to me. I went to his concert, and my sister played backup for him. And so I went up on the stage, and he walked out with that gold medal. He said, hello. I said, oh, wow. Well, and that was when I was a little girl. I'll never forget it. Well, Tyrell, I thoroughly have enjoyed this experience on today. Hopefully you had fun. We always tell everybody who comes on the program, we're just everyday people as well. As Brandon named the show, it's about everyday people. And we have appreciated you so much. Tell your parents, really I look forward to talking with them one day, your dad, and his experience, your mom of raising a wonderful young man as you are. I think mothers need to get on here and talk together about how we make champions in this life of our children. Okay.
And then I have casting directors that have hired me. A lot of them are coming on here or have been on here. I have another one coming on Tuesday that's hiring me. So they're on here too. So they'll be able to hear your voice as well.
Well, you're too kind, brother. Thank you so much.
Well, look, brother, we always give everyone a round of applause.
You ready, Brandon? So in the end, this is what we do. Yeah. Tyrell, we clap. And what
Tyrell, you're great, man. I think you sent me the photo that you wanted. I think you sent me the photo in my. Did you text? Will you retext me the photo you want just in case? Because I had this done in a couple hours.
Okay. Yeah, I will do that. Thank you.
All right, man. Hey, have a blessed day, man. And thank you for coming on the show today, man. You've been a wonderful brother.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and you're welcome back anytime, Tyrell. Anytime.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.
It was absolutely